Why, you're not a monster. You're a monster truck!
Fans of the Cars trilogy could not have been more overjoyed to see Alexander McQueen and Mater return to their screens. After the animated movie ended in 2017, fans were sad to say goodbye to their favorite characters, or should we say, characters. It seemed Disney could not bear to see that happen to their fans. So in September 2022, 5 years after the last movie in the franchise was released, Pixar dropped Cars on the Road, a limited series that once again explores the adventures of McQueen and Mater, and it premiered on Disney on September 8th, 2022. This time around, our two car buddies embark on a road trip across the United States to attend a wedding for Mater's sister. We, however, could not help but notice some really interesting and hidden things in this new series. So, which big secrets are hidden in this movie? You'll be shocked to see exactly how much you missed while watching.
I don't know, pace squabbles flared, factions formed.
In the episode Road Rumblers, we come across a group of deranged cars from the desert who held McQueen and Mater hostage and forced them to partake in the Thunderstones battle. Our two friends were asked to fight each other to the death. This episode clearly was a reference to Mad Max. We see cars look exactly like the cars from Mad Max with their weapons and metallic extensions, and they definitely were as crazy as the ones from the movie. The only difference is, well, these cars were driving themselves, unlike the cars in Mad Max that had human drivers. But that was not the only Mad Max reference. Remember the crane setup with drums from the episode? It clearly was a reference to the battle drums from Mad Max. Crazy, right? Everyone who watched Mad Max knows that it is not a kid-friendly movie, so it was surprising to see it getting referenced in Cars on the Road. But it definitely seemed like an interesting thing to add, and adults who were fans of Mad Max could not help but get thrown into feelings of nostalgia. The aesthetics and cinematography were excellent, and we are pretty sure a lot of people would go back to this episode over and over again.
I don't know much about these dino things.
Well, that's all about to change.
Part of the fun about taking road trips is the several chances you get to stop at places you like. The interesting thing about this episode was getting to learn more about our characters. Mater, for instance, had a preference for stops that had something to do with cars, from the largest tire maze to the world's largest lug nut and the Stonehenge. He just wanted to touch base at every car landmark in the world. These stops show Mater to be a dedicated fan of automobile pop culture, and we really enjoyed going on this journey with him. McQueen, on the other hand, leaned towards the mystery, preferring to stop at the giant muffler of mystery and the world's largest corn palace of mystery. This detail really explained a lot about our characters and added more depth to their personality. Did you think this was an interesting fact about the characters?
What was that all about?
Well, you know, it's a truck thing.
If there is one thing Pixar Studios will definitely do, is to make reference to other animated movies produced by the franchise. It seems like something they just really enjoyed doing, and Cars on the Road was no exception. In one of the episodes in the series, we saw a hidden reference to the 2010 animated movie Soul when Mater, during the truck song, entered an alternate dimension that seemed like the great beyond from Soul. He was having a fun time with his new truck friends, and he somehow entered into a trance. Crazy, right? The more interesting thing was that Mater was imagining another version of his life, which was similar to what happened to Joe in Soul. The other Soul reference was when Mater almost died after driving way past the speed limit, and his soul had to go back to Earth after he got pardoned by the Angel of Death.
Well, sure, in Mac's trailer, but this is a bit more than I signed up for. I mean, I love Mater, but that's a lot of Mater.
At the ending of Cars 3, McQueen got a makeover to honor the legacy of Hudson Hornet. Our once red car took a bold move by getting painted a dark blue color with an inscription that reads "Fabulous Lightning McQueen." But when we met McQueen in Cars on the Road, he had switched back to his signature red color. We could not help but wonder why the switch was made, and no context was offered. Even though the paint job was done for noble causes, we could not help but see that blue was certainly not McQueen's color, and we were glad to see him sporting his brilliant red color, with the classic yellow lightning once again. The makers even went ahead to add an "On the Road" inscription on the hood of his car, as a reference to the series title. This was definitely an interesting thing to add, and fans definitely loved it.
Liz,
So why are you hanging with those gear sticks out there?
Oh, no. I have absolutely nothing to do with any of.
Remember the scene from Star Wars when Luke was tied up upside down in a cave on Hoth? Well, the makers of Cars on the Road thought about recreating that scene, and we think it was such an interesting thing to do. In this episode, McQueen gets lost in the forest and falls unconscious when running away from Bigfoot. When he wakes up, he finds himself in what seems to be like a monster's lair, and he's tied upside down and hanging in the air. He clearly was panicking at first and thought the monster would hurt him. Luckily for him, the monster turned out to be friendly, which was a good thing. Unlike how it was for Luke in Star Wars, who had to fight for his life.
We ride the roads from shore to shore, hauling loads from farm to store.
Nothing excites us more than seeing references to our world made in our favorite movies or TV shows. In the episode Truck, we see McQueen and Mater make a quick stop at a truck stop. The sweet thing about this episode was watching Mater make new friends and getting accepted into the truck guild. He even got a song dedicated to him. While Mater was having the time of his life, McQueen drove into the convenience store to get a soft drink. He sees several cans of soda and seems drawn to it, especially the ones with the names of people on it, and we hear him say, "Oh, personalized gas caps, and they never have my name." If you exist in the real world, you would definitely know that this was a reference to Coca-Cola's idea of putting people's names on drink covers. And McQueen need not feel sad because I too never find my name on the drink cover. In the episode Lights Out, the makers of the show decided to take us on a spooky and scary adventure. Imagine finding a hotel to spend the night and not actually getting the chance to sleep a wink because you were haunted by ghosts. This was what happened to poor McQueen. In this episode, we see a reference made to Stanley Kubrick's 1980 horror film, The Shining. The makers of this episode were definitely not scared about incorporating elements from the horror classic, as the entire episode was filled with elements from the movie. Many of the elements were changed to fit in with the series, though. For instance, the mirrored word red rum from The Shining was changed to race car, and instead of actual human twins, we see two cute car twins who quickly morphed into ghosts and sent McQueen running down the hall. There was also the scene with the boy exploring the hotel on his tricycle by making McQueen ride around the motel, and they even used the same carpet pattern.
So what do you say? Why don't we all just throttle back, shut the heck up, and I don't know, move on?
This was yet another hidden reference in Cars on the Road. The thing about Cars on the Road is how it uses real parallels from our world to make their own world seem more real and interesting. In one of the scenes, Mater and McQueen drive past a cinema, and we could see on the cinema sign a reference to the first Indiana Jones movie. The movie theater sign had the words "Radiators of the Lost Spare," which was Cars' version of the first Indiana Jones movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark, which was released in 1981.
Monster trucks tend to do one thing, and that's smush everything in their path. I thought she was done with all that.
We have come to the end of the hidden scenes in Cars on the Road. The fun thing about this was realizing how intentional the makers of the series were in incorporating elements from other movies. It felt like Cars on the Road were just made for this purpose. Or what do you think? Let us know in the comments, and if you have not subscribed to our channel, make sure you do. Don't miss out on other amazing videos like this one.
Let the victor join our ranks to battle the army of opposition.